Hello, this is Kristen Codes, and I'm coding every day until I become a web developer. So, yesterday we left off. By the way, I hope y'all having a good weekend. Yesterday we left off with me working on the tip calculator. Let me just go ahead and open that right now. If it'll open. Okay, there we go. That's weird. That was a little slow. I think I left off, when I left off, it was like that. Okay, so I did do the mobile version, and then I went to a tablet version, and then to the final desktop version. So it's completely responsive, and I like the way it came out. So one of the things that I learned when doing this project was that, let's go to the CSS. Initially, I had these grand CSS ideas where I was gonna say, okay, we're gonna have a class for when it's mobile. We're gonna have a class for when it's a tablet. We're gonna have a class for when it's on the desktop. And then I just realized that is a lot of CSS, and media queries definitely resolve that issue. So there's no point in creating different classes and then using JavaScript to assign those classes based on the screen width when media queries does that. It's a learning experience. One thing I'm really happy about is how I structured my CSS. How I started mobile first, and just how I broke down the JavaScript to solve certain things. So let's see, what should we go over? I guess we can go over the JavaScript. Let's do that. Maybe I should move myself out of the way so y'all can see the full app. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Gonna put me right here. Right there. All right. So I think we already went through this. Let's go to the mobile version. Okay, so we grab the input fields. I'm just gonna go over this really quick. We grab the input fields. We grab the tip amount. We assign the tip amount to 5, which it should have a $sign in front of it. Bam, that's fixed. Tip button parent document query select. Okay, so we tip buttons parent. So this is the new thing that I learned. I was in all of my other projects, and I don't know if anyone caught on. I was using a for loop to like I would assign similar classes, and then I would use a for loop to iterate over those classes and add event listeners to each one. I had no idea that I could just add an event listener to the parent of those objects, of those elements, and then listen for clicks. And so once I found that out, I was like, oh, and I don't know why I didn't know that. I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out, but I'm glad I did. It's little things like that. So then we have the custom tip, the current tip percent equals 0, which is going to be updated in one of these functions. So then we have the reset button, which is down here, resets everything. So another thing that I did was I broke a lot of these things down into their own bite-sized functions instead of making a huge monolithic function for whatever reason. So I have my, okay, well, first I have my event listeners. This one was for when, I don't think I even finished this one. Hold on, custom tip. No, I did. Oh, this is for when I press enter. Let's see, update tip amount and total. Yeah. So this is for when I press enter. So I created a function where it takes the key press and it takes the custom tip, and then it updates the tip amount per person and the total per person. Okay. And then I had a function that would take the string, because the tip would, when I press the button, it would come in as a string, right? And then I would want to have that as a number. So what this function does is it takes like the 5%, 15%, 50% as a string. If the string includes a percent sign, then it will not only cast this as a number, but replace the first, it will replace the percent with, you know, empty, and empty, like nothing. Or it'll just turn that string, it'll just cast a string as a number. The reason I had to do this is because we can enter custom. See, it says not a number, that's a problem. We can enter custom things, custom tips. Say we got 20 people, and then we are going to press, hold on, we got 20 people, and we're going to press enter. Okay, yeah, so when I press enter, when I do the custom tip, it'll just, you know, resolve everything. So that's that function. Then we have the calc tip per person, which is calculating this. It takes the arguments of current bill, tip percentage, and people, the amount of people. So then we say percent tip equal tip percentage divided by 100. That's because when, like, say for instance, if we have 5%, we want to move the decimal place. Like, we want it to look like this. We want to move it twice, so we have to divide by 100 to get that. Then we take the total tip, which is the current bill times the percent tip. So we multiply the bill times that percentage, and then we get, for example, if we did 100 times, let's say we want 10%, well, we would have to divide that by 100, and that would get us 10. So let's see, so we have 10, then we have tip per okay, so we have total tip equal current bill times percent tip times percent tip. Okay, so I explained this. Okay, so this is where we are. Let tip per person equal total tip divided by people. So this is where I was confused, and I'm glad I looked at the solutions from Front End Mentor, not to see anybody else's code, but just to see how people were figuring it out. Because at first I was like, okay, does everyone, if we're doing, okay, for instance, if the bill is 100, let's say the bill is 100, and there are 5 people, right? And we do a 10%. So each person is paying $2, and it's $22 a person. I was confused because I was like, hold on, is each person paying a 10% tip on the total? And so then the tip amount would be $10 and the total would be 32. But I went to other people's solutions and went to the site and played around with their tip calculators and found out that we're all on the same page. I think that would be crazy. It'd be great for the server to receive that amount of money from each person, but no, that's not what we're doing here. We are taking the total tip and dividing it by the total tip, which is the percentage of that bill, not per person, but just per that one bill, and then dividing that tip among multiple people. That's what we're doing. And so then the calc tip per person returns tip per person. So that's this. Closing that function. Oh, closing that function. Opening this function. Calc total per person. Does the same thing. Takes current bill tip per person and the amount of people. So we let bill per person equal current bill divided by people. And then we return tip per person plus bill per person to get the total per person. And that's right here. We'll close that function, open this function. Okay, this could have been done a lot better. I'm sure there's a way to do it better, but this worked. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, how could I have done this a little bit better? Either way, it works. So what it does is it checks the value of these input fields. And if the input field, for example, is 0, and I do this, it'll turn red. It won't even try to figure this out. It'll just turn red. It'll do it for this one too. I need to fix that not a number thing. Okay. So it tells us whether it's an error or not, and if we change this to say 10, see, I need to fix the infinity and the not a number. So this works. So when the value is 0 or the value is false, we will add the error and remove the success, or we will remove the error and add the success. So that's basically what that function is. That's just for the box coloring based on error or success. Then we have the bill input field dot value equals 0. Hold on, this is the reset calc. Okay, yeah. So this is when we press this button down here. Boop. It resets everything. So it sets the bill input field and the people input field to 0, and then it takes the result tip amount, which is this, and the result total amount, which is this, and sets it to 0. So then the person gets a fresh new calculator to play around with. And most of that, reset button, tip buttons, parent. And so that cleaned up the event listeners, because imagine if I would have added all of this functionality into like just the tips button parent. That would have been crazy. That would have been absolutely nuts. And we have the reset button, which is just simply reset calc. The event listener on the reset button, and then we have this is for the key press when we press enter for the custom tip. So that's basically the whole thingamabob. Style.css. What I learned from this is that I'm definitely gonna have to hold on. First there was something that I felt like I needed to fix. And I think it was because these images were not showing. Hold on, no. That's the logo. There's something that wasn't showing correctly. Script.js. On the live site, this wasn't showing correctly. Image.build icon. Image.build icon. So maybe it would be up here. And open this. Yes. Okay. Boop. And where's the next one? Somewhere down here, and boop. I have to remember to add these periods. That's why it wasn't showing on the live site. So if I go to the live site, this is not that. So let's just go and change that on the live site right quick. So we're going to go to the repositories. We're going to go to tip calculator, and then we're going to go to. Hold on, let's go to the index.html. We're going to edit this. And let's see if we can find it. Yeah, this right here and this right here. Edited the icon URLs. And then that should update in a few minutes. Okay, so yeah, I learned a lot from this. And if I go to, let me see, let's see if it's, I think if we go to actions, it's still deploying. So while that's still doing that, why don't we search, hold on. Well, first, so this is the mobile. Then it goes to tablet. Let me close these. So you can see we have these media queries right here. So this is, and I structured them based so that they would come into effect based on the cascade. So this one is when width is greater than or equal to 100, and then this one comes in when it hits 600, and this one comes in when it hits 900. So if we go to for example 300 up, and then we go to, so that's the mobile, then we go to 600, that's the tablet, and then we go to 900, that's the desktop. So bam, bam. I think it looks pretty nice. I like the way this came out. Let's go check on our deployment. Yes, and now we have these, and so now I'm going to go to front end mentor. I'm going to go to my challenges completed, tip calculator, submit a solution, improve solution, review solution. Is that where? No. Improve solution. How do I? There has to be, okay, so let's see. I think I go to profile, then I go here. Okay, yeah. Let's regenerate screenshot. Oh no, it still didn't add those icons. That's weird. Oh no. Says you have unlimited screenshot. Solution, design. I want the icons there. Oh well. Oh well. We'll come back and fix it later. At least we know it's fixed in spirit. So that's that project. The next project is the learning paths. is this one right here. So I'm gonna have to learn how to implement a slider, and then um, this is a password generator, and we're gonna generate a password based on certain parameters like how the character length, um, including uppercase letters, including lowercase letters, including numbers, including symbols. Do they want a mobile version of this? Tablet design, mobile design. Okay. Or aren't we fancy? And then we have to press the strength of it. And then we have a little copy icon. I've never done this before, to where I can press this and then it'll copy to the person's thing. Okay. Well, isn't that something? And then we generate. Okay. So that's going to be the next project. Let me just look that up now. JavaScript Control C on click. Navigator.clipboard.write text. Hold up. Can I go to the, yeah, I really would rather go to the MDN docs. And is there, if I go to navigation API, form data. Hold on, let's read what the navigation API is. The navigation API provides the ability to initiate, intercept, and manage browser navigation actions. It can also examine an application's history entries. This is a successor to the previous web platform features such as the history API, window.location, which solves their shortcomings and is specifically aimed at the needs of single-page applications. In single-page applications, the page template tends to stay the same during usage, and the content is dynamically rewritten as the user visits different pages or features. As a result, only one distinct page is loaded in the browser, which breaks the expected user experience of navigating back and forth between different locations in the viewing history. This problem can be solved to a degree via the history API, but it is not designed for the needs of SBAs. The navigation API aims to bridge that gap. The navigation API is accessed via window.navigation property, which returns a reference to a global navigation object. Hold on, so where's the clipboard? I'm just trying to find, I'm just like, where's the clipboard? I'm just trying to find one thing. Bro. Navigator. No, it's the navigator. Navigator, not navigation. Navigator. Oh, okay. The navigator interface represents the state and the identity of the user agent. Okay, I don't know what that means. It allows scripts to query it and to register themselves to carry on some activities. Okay. A navigator object can be retrieved using the read-only window.navigator property. Okay. That's interesting. Let me look up what blue would. What? So what does it return? Like a Bluetooth object or something? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know nothing about that. Didn't know nothing about that. That's a cool thing to. Well, hold on. Let's go back to Navigator. So we have Navigator runs a clipboard object that provides read and write access to system clipboard, returns network information, returns interface which allows users to select entries from their contact list. Okay. Cookie returns false if setting a cookie will be ignored and true otherwise. Okay. Credentials, device memory, returns the amount of device memory in gigabytes. Returns the browser's device posture. Geolocation, okay, that's cool. Returns the GPU object for the current browsing context. Hardware concurrency, HID. I don't know what that is. Ink API. What's the Ink API? Is that for like writing? Oh, drawing in ink. Okay. Onto the 2D canvas. Oh, like that's for signing documents and stuff. Navigator keyboard. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. There's a lot of man. There's so much. There is so much stuff here. I would have never. Hold on. Is it? Is the navigator? That's crazy. I don't even see it right here. How would I have found this? How would I know that this exists? Would I have to go down here? Window. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to figure this out. How would I have known this exists? Oh, okay. Okay, so it's in interfaces? Interfaces. Okay, maybe I was just interfaces. Okay, right there. So there's a whole section called interfaces. Okay, so then we go to Navigator. Let's just go back to Navigator. I'm finding a whole bunch of. I need to go through this. I'm gonna have to go through this and see. I might just need to go through all of this one day, one day, and just to poke around and see what's going on. So let's go to navigator.clipboard. The clipboard read-only property of the Navigator interface returns a clipboard object used to read and write the clipboard's content. This is the entry point to the clipboard API. Okay. The system clipboard is a data buffer belonging to the operating system hosting the browser, which is used for short-term data storage and/or data transfers between documents or applications. It is usually implemented as an anonymous temporary data buffer, sometimes called the paste buffer. Okay, so we got clipboard, clipboard event, clipboard item. So navigator.clipboard. Oh, so what we would wait for the event and then copy it. Let's see what the navigator That's not what it said last time. I'm gonna figure this out though. Anyway, that's it for today. I like doing these front end mentor projects because it's little things like that. It's little things like this that lead me to going to the docs and learning new things. So this is just, I want to finish all of the front end mentor stuff. Hopefully, I know it's gonna force me to go back to, because I know we're gonna hit that React soon, and I'm gonna be forced to do a whole bunch of different things. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday, Saturday evening, wherever you are, and I will see you tomorrow where I'll probably start the password generator off screen, off stream, off recording, and then I'll work on it tomorrow, and I'll just, we'll just run through that. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. Bye bye.